Yo, what's up? What's up? Welcome back to the Sideline Story Podcast. I'm here with my boy Corey. What's up, bro?
Good man, how you doing, man? I'm chilling.
Bless, can't complain, man. Today we got a little something different. NBA still, but NBA teams that we talked ourselves out of respectfully. We're not saying it's not like a road or a path to success. It's just more of a situation for reality may have kind of set in a little bit. So we got two teams apiece. We're gonna break their situation down and we're gonna get up out of here. Oh, you go first, bro, if you want to.
All right, I'll start it off. So my first team I'm gonna go one Eastern Conference, one Western Conference.
Mm-hmm.
The first team I got is gonna be the Milwaukee Bucks.
Okay.
I think we all had expectations for them this past season. Obviously, injuries happen, things like that. They had picked up Dame. We thought they was gonna do big things with him and Giannis. But now going into the future, this next year, everybody's getting older on the roster. So now you got Dame, who's 35, 36. Giannis is a year older, and he seems to getting more injuries back-to-back seasons. He basically missed the playoffs. Didn't really do much to add to the roster. You got my man Chris Middleton, who stays hurt, needed another couple surgeries. Brook Lopez a year older. He's still good on defense, but I mean, they're gonna need some help. And with no other really good bench players coming up, Patrick Beverly, I think, is going overseas to play somewhere. I don't really see how this team. I mean, I think they'll make the playoffs in the East, but I don't see how they can be a real contender unless they just happen to have no injuries and Giannis is in his prime and Dame kind of rewinds the clock. So I think it's going to be tough for them. Obviously, they didn't really do much in the draft, unless one of their draft picks kind of comes out of nowhere or they make a trade for the trade deadline, the All-Star game. I don't really have too high of a ceiling for this team compared to what it was maybe last year this time or even like a couple seasons ago when they won the championship. So I think their window is probably shut on them. I don't expect them to get any higher than the 5th seed. And then Giannis, I think, is going to have a decision whether or not he wants to keep Dame around or if he even wants to stick around in Milwaukee. He might want to move around somewhere else because I don't think losing and keeping his brother on the roster is going to be enough to keep him to keep playing in Milwaukee. So we'll see how they do. But that's my first team I'm kind of out on.
Yeah, I told you before we started recording that was one of my teams I had on there. It was really coming from the standpoint of watching everybody in the Eastern Conference kind of lap them in terms of off-season acquisitions or signings, stuff like that nature. We saw what the Knicks did in getting OG Anunoby. They read up with him. They even signed from Mikal Bridges. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they even signed Campaign. Did they sign Campaign? I think that was them. I can't. Let me see. I think they did. But we saw what the Philadelphia 76ers did in getting Paul George and they got Caleb Martin from the Heat, which I really, really like.
Mm-hmm.
And the Boston Celtics, they re-signed everybody. They just signed Sam Hauser to I think a 4-year, $45 million deal today. And I don't know. I think that 5 seed is kind of realistic unless like barring injury. I guess what you go into in the next season, you could say, well, Dame he'll probably be in better shape. They have a full season of continuity with this same roster. The one who did they acquire in the offseason? Was it Torian?
Picked up did they get Gary Trent or no?
They did. That was the move that I did. Like that was the move that I did. Like they got him. I think it was the veteran minimum they used to sign Gary Trent Jr. I actually like that move. I kind of thought he would have kind of been gone a little earlier, but it kind of fell in their lap a little bit. I do like that, but I just feel like everybody lapped them. I don't know who they're better than. Like as of right now, I don't think they're better than Philly. I don't think they're better than like New York or Boston, because with them it's championship or buzz. Because Giannis is in the smack dab in the middle of his prime. Dame is like towards the end of his prime. Brook Lopez is out of his prime. Chris Middleton, who they just said had to have surgery on both ankles. So I don't really know. I don't really know what to make of their situation going into next season. But how do you talk yourself into like another season if you're a Bucks fan?
I mean, the only way to talk yourself into it is that we didn't really get to see it the first year around. We didn't have pretty much either one of them in the playoffs, so we never got to really see what that duo could do. I think the few games we did see them on the court, obviously they was going through coaching changes, and it was the beginning of the season, so we didn't really get to see a stretch of them really playing together and getting to get continuity with each other. So I think that's how you talk yourself into it. Is like, well, we didn't really get to see what they full potential could be. Let's see if they can stay healthy this year, and then see how it goes. I think that's the only like saving grace for them is that you still have the like unknown of like maybe they could like ascend to like one of the best duos in the league and still be a top 3 seed in the East just because nobody really knows what they're fully capable of. Because you still got some good defenders. Obviously, Giannis is a good defender. Brook is a defensive player of the year candidate every year. And if Dame is still one of the top, you got some of the longest range in the NBA, he can still put up 50 on any given night.
Absolutely.
So you got weapons there. It's just a matter of if they can be available. So I think that's how you talk yourself into it. It's like, well, maybe if we see them play, at least 50 games together, let's see what their record looks like. And if they stay healthy at the right time of the season, maybe they can just kind of hit that stride and get there. So that's how you kind of save hope for them. Is that we got to see it.
I'm gonna go out west. The first of my two teams, it'll be the Phoenix Suns. Actually, they were 49-33 last season. The cap situation is a mess. If we really be honest, they got the second highest payroll in the NBA at $237 million. They got $150 million committed in 3 players, which is Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, he's finna be 30. He's 35. Coming off a season where he was relatively healthy for the most part, had 75 games played, 27 points a game. This is a situation where, like, as far as like from a cap standpoint, they're just too top heavy. And I feel like the 4th best player on the team is like Grayson Allen, who's one of the best 3-point shooters in the game. But it's kind of the same situation with the Milwaukee Bucks as with the Phoenix Suns. Is the Western Conference. I just feel like it's so many teams better than Phoenix in the Western Conference. You saw Sacramento acquired DeMar DeRozan. They're trying to throw their name back in the hat as far as like playoff contention. The path to this team getting better, obviously, is you trade one of the big 3. And if we really being honest, that's going to either be Devin Booker or Kevin Durant. We heard Kevin Durant name associated with the Houston Rockets, and that felt like it was all of 48 hours. That didn't hold no weight at all. They move off of those talks real fast. I don't even know if Houston is willing to come off one of their young assets to acquire an older Kevin Durant. If you Phoenix, how you feel about this next season as a fan?
Yeah, for Phoenix, like you said, the cap situation is kind of you strapped because you got those 3 guys getting that max, and then on top of that, even if you wanted to trade Bradley Beal, he got the no trade clause, so
Yep.
he could just be like, no, if you don't feel like it. So you kind of stuck. And I don't see you dealing Devin Booker, so that leaves just Kevin Durant. Then if you trade him, it's pretty much, I don't know if that team's gonna really be viable at that point because you can't depend on all 3 of them being healthy. I think Booker's probably the most reliable. Bill over the last couple of years, we've kind of seen like a steady decline. So I like them picking up Royce O'Neal. So I mean, if I'm a fan, that gives me some type of positivity. But other than that, you coming off winning almost 50 games when I think your big 3 maybe played 15 games together, if that. So that's something to look forward to is them actually playing. And then, I mean, if I'm them, I'm thinking my bench can't be any worse than it was this past season. Like they just got no productivity at all. I mean, you had Eric Gordon Jr. that was kind of holding it down, but other than that team just was too top heavy. They relied too much on really Booker and KD, and then I think they just kind of fizzed out at the end of the season, especially running to the Timberwolves. So I just think you gotta get maybe another bench player, and then just same as Milwaukee, you guys has got to be able to play together so we can really see what the team is looking like. Because paying them all this money, you want to see them on the court together.
Yeah, like you said, leaning on Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, they both average 27 points a game right now. They both playing this summer for Team USA. I guess the only thing you could kind of be optimistic about going into next season, hopefully Bradley Beal could play more than 53 games. I'm thinking maybe it's a situation where you could say, okay, we got all 3 of them at the start of the season. So hopefully we could try to like build some type of chemistry early on and try to take that into like midway through the season into the playoffs. But they still don't have a reliable facilitator. Like you said, with the cap space, I don't really know the avenue to even get in one. It seemed like it may be by committee. They have Isaiah Thomas on the roster, but like he's not a playmaker. Like he's more of a scoring guard, but he's a little old, out of his prime. Respect to him, but this roster, I don't really know what to make of it.
Yeah, I think they'll probably depend on Booker with some of the playmaking stuff. He's shown that he's capable of like handling the ball and distributing.
Mm-hmm.
So when you kind of switch or flip with him, like being like an instant scorer to be more of a facilitator, I think that can help out because there's no really space on the roster to really sign anybody relevant to do that for you.
So give me a playoff seed that you could. What's realistic for them? Like 7 seed, 6 seed, if
I
that.
mean, I think they best case scenario, I think they can get a top 4 seed if they all together and playing. If not, I see it's gonna be similar from this past season where they flirting with the play in and kind of around the year like 6, 7, 8. Just because the West is so tough, it kind of is what it is. Like you got great players, but if you ain't be able to get on the court, it's gonna end up with a lot of losses, and then you kind of trying to work your way back up them standings, which is tough in the West. Once you fall behind, you got to go on a crazy run to kind of get back up there. So I see them best case scenario top 4, maybe the 4 seed. Worst case, it's gonna be like 8 seed, and then they back in that play in.
I feel like this probably is the season where whatever you're gonna get out of this 3, it has to be this season because I can't see a team with this high of a payroll going into like another season after this. I don't see how you could talk yourself into it, especially from like an ownership standpoint. They just so high over the aprons. I just can't see it. 150 million in 3 players. It just doesn't seem realistic for me, to be honest with you. Like the record isn't even horrible. It's just that they don't have like the ancillary pieces around to really fill the roster out the proper way. And I don't know. Go ahead with the second team, bro.
All right, so like I said, we're going back to we're gonna stay in the West, and my team is gonna be the Clippers. I think a lot happened for them this offseason. I'm gonna start even going back to last season. They had that run like December, January, where they were looking like championship contender, one of the best teams in the league. Obviously, they had picked up Russ, and they picked up James Harden. They had Russ, Kawhi, everybody's playing well together, all from out there in LA. And then it just kind of all just started going downhill. Paul George was kind of the only steady for that team last year, the one that only consistent steady player that was playing good and consistent throughout the season. Kawhi goes down into the season, he misses pretty much the whole playoffs. Fast forward to now, Russ is gone, looking like he's gonna be with the Nuggets. Harden is re-signed, Paul George is traded, and you still got Kawhi. So I don't know at this point if I'm still going to be relying on Harden as my number 2 option. Kawhi as my number 1 option is nice if he can stay healthy. And then the rest of the roster is like, what do you do? I know you picked up Kevin Porter Jr., he's a decent younger player, so you can work with him. You still got Zubac. They picked up Chris Dunn, who I like him a lot. Other than that, they went from being like a championship contender from like almost at the All-Star break to now they're going to be another one of those teams I feel like is battling for a play-in spot just because I don't see. I mean, I can't. If I had to guess, I would say Kawhi's probably not going to stay healthy, so you might get 50 games out of him. I can't rely on James Harden being my number 1 scorer at this point in his career. I just think that's too much to ask of him. And then the rest of that roster, who do I see on that roster that can step up and be the guy? And I don't see nobody on it right now that's going to be able to help keep that team afloat. So I think they got a lot of the same pieces still there as far as the Zubac and some of the other guys. Norman Powell, he's one of the top bench players, but I don't know, man. I just don't see them being able to take a jump and get into like those. Even at their best, I don't see them being able to get a top 5 seed, and I don't see them really contending for anything until they blow that roster up. So I think they kind of missed that window. That whole experience for Paul George and Kawhi was just a bust. No other way around it. That was a bust. Gave up so many picks, lost out on Shea, and this is what you end up with. And it's the worst time because you're going into like your own arena and kind of new wave and trying to establish yourself as a team in LA. And it's not the way to start it off. So I'm out on the Clippers.
You know what sucks for them is like we definitely can see a scenario next season where James Harden is bringing up the ball, and it's Derrick Jones Jr., it's Chris Dunn, it's like Ivica Zubac and like Norman Powell, and that's it. Like it's no Kawhi. You know what I'm saying? Like that's like worst case scenario if you Steve Ballmer, if you like Lawrence Frank. I don't know how frisky this team can be, because I think from a defensive standpoint, like Chris Dunn, Derrick Jones Jr., Kawhi Leonard, like they got some guys, but it's just like from a high-end standpoint, I don't know how good they can be because I don't really know how many teams that they better in than in the Western Conference. Like you said, like this all depends on Kawhi. This is pretty much every year since they've got Kawhi and Paul George, how healthy they could be. And Kawhi hasn't really shown the ability to play 70 games anymore, 60 games like that. So I don't really know what the ceiling is for this team, even with a healthy Kawhi Leonard. I don't know if they're better than Minnesota. I don't know if they're better than Denver, if they're better than Dallas, if they're better than Oklahoma City. You know, I don't know. So I don't know how you can go into the Intuit Dome with any optimism next year if you're a Clippers fan.
Yeah, it's tough. Like I said, it's like the worst timing for them. Like you would have wished like maybe 2 years ago they was going into this new spot and kind of they buzz is at an all-time high and we had high expectations for them. Now it's like their buzz is going like downhill, and then this is when everything is happening for them with that $1 billion facility and all that. So especially when you got ownership that really wants to win and they just kind of doing everything they can to make it happen, it's like, damn, you kind of feel bad for them. Then, it's still looking like Kawhi is not fully healthy, getting, taken off the Team USA. So, like, is he even going to be able to start the season healthy this time around? It's a mess over there. So, really got nothing to trade, nothing to give up to trade for somebody else. All the free agents have pretty much picked where they're going to be at. So, you can't really bring anybody in to help out. You're pretty much relying on, like, vintage Kawhi, vintage James Harden showing up, and then, like, your ancillary pieces just kind of doing their thing. So, yeah, it's gonna be tough for them. I think they still in this like 6, 7 seed, and then they floor could be bottom 4 seed in the West. Unfortunately, like it switches up quick on you. Life come at you fast.
Life come at you fast. It felt like it felt like we was just seeing that live with Patrick Beverly and Lou Will in the casino. Like, yo, we got Kawhi, we got Paul George. Like you felt the energy. You felt the energy like these NBA streets. It was different. And now, like you said, life come at you real fast. And now it's just like they could easily be one of the worst teams in the West because, like we both said, like if Kawhi goes down, that's pretty much it. And the sucky part about it is they don't have a path to get better as from like a roster standpoint. You know what I'm saying? They committed in Kawhi. They just gave James Harden a short-term contract. So, like, for the foreseeable future, they got these two locked up for, like, the next couple of years. And after that, it's kind of like rebuilding mode. I don't know what young players they got that could take, like, that significant leap in helping them this next season. I don't really see it. Like you said, like, having a bank on vintage Kawhi is a scary place to be, especially like when Paul George is no longer in the building. You know, I feel like they really fumbled the bag on that. Whether or not they didn't want to go deep into like the aprons or not, that's neither here nor there. But I don't really see a reason why you would move on from Paul George. Just in case Kawhi is healthy, you could try to make a run because when Kawhi is healthy, he's an undeniable. He's a top 5-6 player in the NBA. That's what he plays like. So I don't really know. The last team, I got Miami. I feel like Miami is a team where at any moment they could upset somebody. They've been known to overachieve. In the bubble, they made it against the Lakers, and we just saw them make a season before last against the Denver Nuggets. So in the Jimmy Butler era, they've been to the finals 2 times. They've been to the Eastern Conference Finals. So like from a competitive standpoint, they always relevant. This last season, they were 46-36. Now they have the 9th highest payroll at $198 million. Jimmy will be 35 when the season starts. He's owed $48 million this season, and the next season he'll be owed $50 million. Now I don't know if this will be his last season on the roster. That's remains to be seen. But I'm looking at the roster, and they don't have enough high-end talent because Tyler Hero, I feel like he could make a leap, but like I don't believe in like coming up with narratives unless we got like a true pattern set. And the pattern on Tyler Hero is he kind of injury prone. I think you can kind of say it now. It's like he's having a hard time put together like a 65 game, 70 game campaign. He hasn't done so since he's been in the NBA. He's owed $29 million this season. He's coming off his second best 3-point shooting this season. They got Bam. He's a walking double-double. He's owed $34 million this season. With the 9th highest payroll, and you bounced in the first round in the playoffs, you lost out on the Dame trade. You really haven't landed any key free agents, if we're being honest. And I guess Jaime Jaquez, you need him to take another leap. You need Tyler Hero to be healthy. Terry Rozier, Jimmy Butler, you need all those guys to be present. Bam is like all of 6'8", 6'9", playing center. You know, I don't know. Like, I feel like I haven't talked myself out of them completely, but I just feel like reality set in. They're not better than none of the top 3 or 4 seeds in the East, in my opinion. Can they get out of the first round? It's not impossible, but I don't think they're better than your Celtics. I don't think they're better than the Knicks. I don't think they're better than. Are they better than the Pacers or the Bucks? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. It's up for debate, but I just don't. If you Pat Riley, what's the avenue? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. I just think I think the avenue has to be you got to move on from Jimmy. I think it's hard. I think the writing's on the wall. He's going to be, if not in the middle of this season, sometime the next offseason, he's going to be out of there. And then, like you said, that roster is just it's just the same. We've pretty much seen the same roster for some time now, and they haven't been able to win it all. And they're only getting older, and they kind of, they lose Caleb Martin, who goes to Philly. So that kind of, not only do you lose him, you go to a contending team in the East. So it's kind of like a lose-lose. Hawkins Jr., I like him a lot, and I like the guy they just drafted, Ware, but I don't know how much of an impact they'll have towards winning on this roster right now. I've said time and time again, I couldn't have Bam Adebayo as my top option. I just haven't seen enough progression from here, especially on the offensive end. I haven't seen enough progression from him to be able to dominate games to be my number one option. Tyler Hero, same story with him, like you said. He plays well, but then it's the injuries. I like Terry Rozier on that roster, but yeah, Duncan Robinson, you know what we're getting from him. And that's basically it. So, I mean, you got your older veterans, you got some younger guys, so you got a good mix, but it's just like they're just missing those one or two players that can really set you apart. Like you need consistency because Jimmy, we know he's gonna give you not his greatest effort during the regular season, which with this team you're gonna need a great effort to be able to even secure a playoff spot. So yeah, I don't know I would say they ceiling would be maybe a 6-7 seed, and they floor would be kind of missing the playoffs. So right there at that bubble of the play in, one of those last two teams in, so 10 seed or something. So it's tough for him. If I'm Pat Riley, I'm probably moving on from Jimmy Butler as quickly as possible, just seeing what I can salvage from that, and moving from there. I didn't understand re-signing Kevin Love. What is this? What are we doing this for? I don't know, but yeah, that team, I don't really know what direction they're going at this point, but it's not looking good for them. I'm with you. I'm completely out on them. I don't see it happening.
All right, before we get off, can I pull up from the parking lot real quick? All right,
let's go.
We're officially in hot take zone. This is the hot take zone. I know what I'm finna get ready to ask you. It's finna sound crazy. It's actually finna sound nuts. But just for the sake of content, I just want to throw something out there. So I'm looking at the Denver Nuggets offseason. I'm not too impressed. Actually, we were talking about the Jamal Murray extension. He hasn't signed his extension.
Mm-hmm.
So that's coming down eventually. They got Russell Westbrook. I'm hearing Michael Malone don't like to play the young players, and ownership and front office is kind of forcing his hand to do so. If you Denver, what are their chances of winning another championship? Because I'm looking at this roster and I'm like, okay, you got top 3 player in the world. Some people think he's the best player in the world. Michael Porter, if he can give you 18 to 20 consistently, they're probably unguardable. I still think they have one of the best starting lineups, but from depth standpoint, I feel like they just lacking and it's horrible. How do you feel about their offseason so far?
I mean, their offseason, I for one, I like them picking up Russ. I like that trade. I like having him. I even like having him starting on that team with Jamal Murray. I would like that a lot because Russ can pass the ball, he'll rebound, he'll give you high effort, and Jokic's gonna be able to get him some good looks. Not even necessarily shooting, just cutting, getting to the different things like that. I like them playing together, and then we don't got to worry about Russ kind of holding on to the ball too much. We know that on that team it runs through Jokic, so I like that pickup. Overall, their offseason wasn't the greatest. Like you said, they didn't really, outside of Russ, they didn't really add much. And then you lose KCP. So he was a real good piece for that championship winning team for the last couple of years. So Murray, he still hasn't signed an extension. And Michael Porter Jr., I think, is the biggest question mark just because he's so inconsistent. He's got to find find somewhere where there'd be a solidified third option or a low-end second option, whatever it is you want to be, you got to find that lane and really be consistent in that night in and night out, especially in the playoffs. But I think that team is going to be back in the Western Conference Finals. I still like the team overall with Jokic and Murray. I like the 1-2. Aaron Gordon is still great. He's not even 30 years old yet. He's 28. So overall, I like the team still. I can see them in OKC being in the West Finals, and then at that point, anything can happen. OKC is still kind of young, so And Denver, they got the experience. They've been there before, even though they just got knocked out by the Timberwolves. That was a great series. So I'm still up on the Nuggets. I know with Mike Malone not want to play the young guys. I mean, some of them kind of shown that they can get it done. Like Braun, I like him a lot. I think he's shown that he can be productive. So yeah, I mean, I think they'll figure it out. And I think when you got Jokic, anything is possible. So I wouldn't. Yeah, I'm not too concerned with him. I really want to see how Russ fits into that team, though. I'm excited to see that. I think this is gonna be his greatest chance at winning the championship is with this team right here.
My only issue with Russ going to the Denver Nuggets is I have two issues actually. It's kind of where he is in terms of his career, even though he's accepted reality. Shout out to him for that, because a lot of players can't really let go of what they used to be, and I feel like he kind of has. He's embraced that role. And two, I don't like it from the standpoint of that's kind of the only move that they made. Now, they above the first apron, but they below the second apron. So I don't think they haven't hit those penalties on what they can do, but I know they can't go out and get I don't even know if it's any more meaningful players to go out there and to pursue. They did get Dario Saric, they got Russell Westbrook, but if you look at the payroll after those top four, it's a significant drop off. Aaron Gordon is the last one of the hierarchy. He makes $22 million. Michael Porter's on the books for $35 this year. I'm not saying I think they could be had in a playoff series because I think it's just going to depend with matchups. And I did think the Timberwolves got better from a youth standpoint. I like some of the young players that they brought in, and I feel like they can contribute immediately on this team. I think they'll be even more fun, exciting team to watch. But if they can avoid Minnesota again, I think they'll have some success because I feel like I think Michael Porter he's just the key. And I feel like he should the narrative should have been set in on him. It's like what Cash joked about. If they're not playing the Lakers, he's just not there a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like he's just really the X factor of this team. I don't really know if there is another level that he could really get to in his game because so much runs through Jokic, even though he is unselfish. I don't really know what I'm trying to say with this team. I don't know. I feel like they're not a wild card. I do feel like they're a top 3 seed in the West, but I don't know if I'm as high on the offseason going into this season as I should be. That's probably kind of what it is. That's probably what I'm trying to ask, really.
Yeah.
From a depth standpoint, I'm not sold.
Yeah, it's hard to be sold on, especially when, like you say, you lose KCP, who, I mean, I think this past season he was kind of whatever, but that's still a piece who knew the offense, he played well in his role, played great defense, so you don't really get a replacement for that. And then, coming off that series where we saw them kind of not so much get exposed, but the Timberwolves kind of showed hey, if you match up bodies and throw different bigger bodies at Jokic, you can kind of slow down this offense a little bit. And that's what they did with they got the Twin Towers over there, and then you got Nas Reed as well. So they had those 3 bodies that they were able to just rotate on Jokic, and it kind of affected them. I think overall, though, like we said, I think they're not a wild card because we've seen this team win. It's just that we don't really know where to place them as far as are they still going to be that elite team in the West, or are they going to kind of take back to more like the 4 or 5 seed? How are they going to be? Which I think they'll still be top 3 though. I like that team a lot. I think Jokic, he just when I think he can't get any better, he finds a way to still get it done. And this is with the slowest, the slow methodical play, but he just so good at basketball, knows what he's doing, knows where everybody's at, that you just can't stop him. So I don't put nothing past them. I still got them being elite. And like I said, I got them getting to the Western Conference Finals.
You got a pull up from 30, or if not, an honorary mention, real quick before we do.
Honorary mention. Let me see. I go back to the East. Honorary mention for who I'm out on, and I will say that I personally am 1,000% out on Cleveland. I don't think Cleveland's going to be too good. They throwing all this money around at players, and I don't see why. That even with those players, you bring them back. I think even with them at their best, I don't see them getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't like having 2 of the same type of guard with Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. They pretty much play the same, and I don't like it. I would like to have an actual point guard in there. Evan Mobley just got paid $230-something million. I guess I wouldn't have done it, but I guess just overall, that team, just nothing about that team to me says that they want to win a championship. It's just let's just maintain where we're at. We're happy with being this middle of the run team, and I'm out on it. I'm surprised Donovan Mitchell even stuck around. Like I would have been out of there. Yeah, but I'm completely out on Cleveland. I got nothing for him at all.
I was listening to Bill Simmons and Robert Russillo last week, and they had like this segment on why teams choose to pay players like super early. It was something like that because they brought up like the Scotty Barnes contract, the Franz Wagner contract. Evan hadn't got paid yet. I kind of see where they're going a little bit, especially with like Franz. That contract kind of confused me. I was like, Franz is he's an exceptional NBA player. I don't want to get anything twisted. He's really good, but it's just like 224. It's like I'm just don't understand. You just get what you qualify for. That's really what it is. And in terms of this contract, that's really pretty much what it is. But like with the Evan Mobley thing, I think this may be a situation where Cleveland can be looking at it from a standpoint of, okay, he'll come in next season, he'll take the leap, because it seems like with this roster, and let me know if I'm tripping, Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, does it seem like, was it the Trey Jones, the Trey Young and DeJounte Murray factor was like, we don't know if they like playing with each other. We don't know if they don't like playing with each other. It's like, I don't know.
But even with that, though, you still kind of knew, like, even though Trey Young can score, we knew he was a point guard. We know he can lead the league in assists, like, and we knew that DeJounte Murray was more so for like defensive purposes and kind of taking pressure off of Trey Young. With Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, I don't like neither one of them are great defensively, and neither one of them I don't like either one of them playing the point. So I don't understand what that combo is about. Like they can score, like either one of them can give you like 30 on a given night, but that's not what that team needs to me. I think they need more of a facilitator, somebody that's gonna be able to get the ball, like the easy points, like down low and stuff. But they miss a lot of those opportunities, especially when you got a guy like Jared Allen down there who's just a live waiting to happen. Like there should be way more of that going on. But those two guys just dominate the ball so much. I never understood them playing. Like if you watch them play on the court at the same time together, it's like the worst. It's like this push and pull. Like I hate watching them play. It just doesn't look good to me. That's why a lot of times they play better when one of them was out and the other one was in. Like I don't understand it.
Well, they their best when Donovan Mitchell has the ball for the most part. I'm gonna have a hot take. I think Darius Garland is out. I don't know when. I don't have a timeline specifically, but I think he may be the odd man out because they don't need both of those guys on this team. They got Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. I don't know if they need both of those guys on the team. Honestly, I feel like this roster needs some tweaking a little bit. I do think it's definitely upside though with the roster for sure. It's a path for them to be better. They just might have to like trim some of the fat off this roster. But this was pretty good, man. I appreciate you pulling up as usual, my guy.
Yeah, anytime.
So yeah, man, this podcast will be uploaded soon. I appreciate y'all for supporting. Shout out to everybody that support me. Love y'all most definitely, and we're gonna keep bringing the news as it comes to us. Y'all have a blessed night.